Adam Lowry is a Bay Area entrepreneur who created Method, a line of environmentally friendly cleaning products. In 2012, he sold the company and embarked on a new mission to reduce the planet's carbon footprint. His new company is Ripple Foods, located in Emeryville. Its flagship product is a non-dairy milk made from peas. That's right, peas. And Ripple Foods co-founder and co-CEO Adam Lowry is with me in the studio. Hi, Adam.
Hi, thanks for having me, Twee.
All right, so milk made from peas.
Yeah,
Why
that's
peas?
right. Pea milk, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, peas are high in protein, and the situation right now is most alternatives to dairy products are actually pretty bad dairy alternatives. They don't have any protein in them or have very little, and most people agree that they're kind of thin and watery. So by making milk out of peas, we were able to make something really high in protein, but really creamy and delicious. And at the end of the day, that's the way we're going to get more people to eat healthier, more nutritious, and more sustainable foods.
Well, you were a chemical engineer by training. You were a climate scientist at one point. Where did the inspiration for this company come from? Does your environmental training come into it?
Yeah, partially. I think a big part of this story also is my co-founder, Neil Renninger, who's a PhD biochemist. He's the real scientist between the two of us. And he created a way to get totally pure protein out of any plant source. And when you do that, it's tasteless. Many people don't know that proteins have no flavor. So if you get really pure protein from plants, you can make foods out of it that are really delicious. And then they are foods that a lot more people will buy and enjoy.
And I think you were also inspired by this philosophy of trying to cut down on the carbon footprint, right? Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that I do have a background as a climate scientist. That was a long time ago, and that was a big part of the inspiration for my first business, Method, trying to use a business to create social and environmental impact. Now, fortunately, that's become a much more mainstream idea now. Food is even more personal and has even more impacts on our environment and on our health, of course, than cleaning products. And so that was my that's why I really wanted to get into food. It's because it's very personal and it's very high impact. We need to do something about our broken food system, and we need to do it through foods that are really delicious that people enjoy.
And that don't cause a lot of carbon output, for example, right, because dairy products and meat products contribute to the carbon footprint.
Yeah, exactly. So dairy is about a quarter of our food carbon footprint, and food's about 30% of our human carbon footprint. That means dairy is about 8% of humanity's carbon footprint. And most of the alternatives are not much better. You know, almond milk, for example, takes a lot of water.
Mm. And I know that this was also the inspiration behind your Method cleaning products, your prior company. You started it with your college buddy, Eric Ryan. And in the beginning, you were actually making different Method formulas in your bathtub.
That is correct. Yeah, it was sort of the most ironic place you could think of a cleaning products company being born, which is the bachelor pad of 5 guys in their mid-20s.
But probably not so clean bachelor pad.
It was exactly as clean as you would think it would be. And yeah, we made the product there, actually used beer pitchers and things like that initially, and we were selling it door to door to grocery stores. But now Method's actually the largest green cleaning company in the world.
Is it really? Mm-hmm. That's a great Silicon Valley story, isn't it? But Silicon Valley has come a long way. It makes amazing products that billions of people use around the world. But there's also been criticism that Silicon Valley companies don't do enough to be good corporate citizens. For example, on things like housing. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think in today's environment, you have to have a civic identity that has a sense of purpose as a company. It's no longer appropriate for a company to just sit on the sidelines. Now, what I don't mean is that a company has to be overtly political. There is a difference between politics and policy. And I think that businesses have a responsibility to put forward ideas about how they can make the world a better place, whether that be environmental, whether that be social, whatever the issue may be. And I think that it's...
Do you think Silicon Valley has done enough on that front?
Well, clearly there are some places where Silicon Valley, has some ways to go. I mean, it's the hotbed of innovation. There's a spirit of creativity here that's absolutely fantastic. And I think we've seen some examples where we need to do better as an overall business community in this area. And so I think that's where examining the impacts that a business can have socially and environmentally is really critical, and then being conscious and deliberate about trying to do better in those areas.
Yeah. And just real quickly, since we're on the topic of corporate social responsibility, this week we saw a number of companies step forward on the gun control debate. United and Delta cutting their discounts for NRA members, for example. Walmart and Dick's Sporting Goods changing their gun sales policies. How do you feel about companies taking stands on controversial issues?
Yeah, I think it's important for companies to have a point of view and to share that point of view. And as I said, it can be a little bit of a tricky line when it starts to toe the line into politics and the sausage making of politics. But I don't think it's appropriate anymore to not be involved. I think that trust in societal institutions, trust in business is really at an all-time low. And we need to rebuild that by saying, hey, this is what we stand for. This is what we think is right and wrong. And live that.
Okay. Adam Lowry, co-founder and CEO of Ripple Foods. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.